Marvin works closely with other religious leaders to bring service and support to those in need. He was just recently called to serve as co-chair for Genesis Public Affairs. His responsibility is very similar to the calling of Director of African American Relations on the national level. The Genesis Group is the branch of the church designed to meet unique needs of African Americans. He's also served as gospel doctor and a seminary instructor and is well versed in the scriptures. And we're very, very pleased to, and he's a successful sales executive at the Bureau of National Affairs. We're pleased to have Marvin Perkins come and speak to us.
Good morning. You guys learned a little bit from yesterday, President Darius' talk. Good morning. Good morning. There you go. I want to make sure you're awake here. Aloha, talofa, buenos dias, all that other stuff. O genki desu ka? Anybody Japanese? I am grateful to be here today, especially to speak on this topic. This topic is one that actually almost kept me from joining the church. And I wanted to make sure that no one else left the church, would not join the church, or struggled in the church as a result of not having the information that I was seeking. And so I thought, let me study this thing. So I've been studying this subject for 17 years now. I am not by any means an expert on it. I just know what I know and what the Lord has guided me and directed me. I've found that if we keep this talk to the scriptures, you get less people trying to refute what you're saying. But the biggest reasons that I study this is to help others into the gospel. There are many who won't take the time to learn this information, and that's all right for them, but I want to help those who do want to have some of this information, and the church has given us plenty of guidance. So again, I'm no expert, I'm no scholar, I'm no scriptorian. I'm just a man who loves the Lord and will do anything He wants me to do, and sometimes that finds me in trouble. But but I'm willing to take it. So how do we reach African Americans in and outside of the church? You have the formula down already, and you're already doing it. You just have to apply it to this group of people. See, because when you go into the MTC, what do? You learn the language and the culture of the people you are going to serve. You learn Spanish, you learn a little bit about the Spanish culture. You learn Japanese, a little bit about the Japanese culture. You go to an American or English-speaking mission, and no language to learn, but you learn a little bit about the communication skills so that you don't offend and turn people off from the church. Well, that's the exact same way that you would actually reach African Americans. You have to understand, you need to learn and understand the language and the culture of the people. So, what is the language of African Americans in regards to Latter-day Saints? Okay? Now the language, this is reality. This is what African Americans feel and know. Most African Americans believe that Mormons are racist, that they have a long history of racism, even have it built in the doctrine. That's what African Americans feel. If you want to reach them, you have to deal with that reality. You've got to get to the point where you can hear that. That's what we feel. What is the culture? Well, the culture is every African American, regardless, is going to have to deal with this issue at some point. Some of us deal with it before discussions, some during the discussions, and some after baptism, sometimes many years after baptism. But we do have to deal with it. I'm just working with a brother now who has been a member of the church for 7 years and now just dealing with it. He's been inactive for the last year over this issue. And now since we've shared with him what I'm going to share with you today, you know, he is now back into the church. So the fruits, by the fruits you shall know them. First of all, be honest. We know. The first thing we can do with this issue is admit we try to deny the history that we have. We have a history in this country of inequality, of racism, of prejudice. And that includes the church members as well, church members, church leaders. We have that. Until 1964, the Civil Rights Act, the law of the land was discrimination. So we only varied in, our degree of it. So be honest. No one is going to believe you have the truth if you can't be honest about the past or, your involvement. It reminds me of the children of Israel. They were in bondage for 400 years. And when they got out of bondage, when Moses and Aaron freed them, instruments of the Lord to free them out of bondage, the Lord wanted them to get to know Him, start serving Him more. And it was so difficult for them to do that. So they had this law of Moses given to them, this simple law to help them to be able to abide the entire law. And it would take them many years to be able to do it before Christ would come and fulfill and give them a new way of doing things. Also, we see with the resurrected Savior, the last thing recorded, the last command recorded in Matthew, the resurrected Savior stands before them, ate with them, met with them, and said, "Take the gospel to all the world."